The 5 most important things to consider for your winter wedding.
Welcome back to Bride Society. I'm Laura, this is Rebecca, and yes, if you have chosen to get married in winter when it's a bit colder, it's a bit darker, it might be a bit of a quieter season, so there might be some benefits, so maybe slightly cheaper or just meaningful dates, or you want that Christmas spirit, there are a few things that you might want to take into account just to make sure the wedding goes off without a hitch and you're not blindsided by anything or nothing unexpected crops up. So this is where we come in with some of our top tips.
Yep. And we're starting off by thinking about your venue choice. So something to consider with the winter weddings versus maybe more summer, spring weddings is that when you're looking for your venue, the interior becomes more important than the exterior. So because you're much more obviously unlikely to be having photos outside or the ceremony outside or the drinks reception outside, it's more likely to be indoors or mostly indoors. So what the gardens look like and the grounds, those kind of things, where those might be important factors for the summer wedding, maybe aren't going to need to be so heavily weighted in your decision for a winter wedding, but you might want more grandeur, more space, or those kind of things for your winter wedding.
How the venue is heated is a big thing to think about. Obviously, I mean, especially in the UK, I mean, this morning it was -3 degrees, so it can get chilly. And if you're in the depths of winter, you want a venue that is warm enough, essentially. I mean, even if you have lots of guests in there, people do create heat as well, but you don't want anybody sitting through your ceremony feeling uncomfortable because the room just has no heating and it's freezing cold outside.
Yeah.
So everyone's in their coats and shivering.
Because obviously, like a lot of UK wedding venues as well, we have a lot of old historical buildings. They tend to be colder.
Yes.
Sorry, just to jump in there.
So is there heating? Are there fires that might create that warmth? Just something to think about when you're choosing your venue, so you know that everyone will be comfortable. You don't want it too hot, that's the other extreme, but yeah, just so everyone's comfortable.
It's probably worth considering maybe only having a single venue. So it's obviously it's not uncommon, at least in the UK, for the ceremony and the reception venues to be 2 separate venues requiring travel of some length or description between the two. Now, I was in a situation where you're potentially dealing with inclement weather, snow, ice, just to kind of try to eliminate the disaster factor as much as is possible. Maybe think about choosing a venue where all those things can happen in one place so that you can eliminate that travel between venues. So that means obviously a venue that is licensed for ceremonies, or you're planning to you'll do the legal bit a different day separately. That works too. And it obviously has the space to kind of accommodate a ceremony and reception. Again, obviously, it's quite common that the same space will be turned over for those things, but again, it's just making sure that the venue you're choosing can accommodate that.
And depending on when in winter you are thinking of getting married, especially around Christmas time, either before or slightly after, it's worth checking with the venue what they do about Christmas decorations. So you might be expecting them to have some Christmas decorations up, so you maybe don't have to do as much in terms of decor yourself.
Yeah, it could help you save on the budget a little bit.
Or it might be the opposite, that actually you don't want Christmas to feature at all, even though your wedding is around Christmas. So you want to make sure they haven't got 8-foot trees everywhere or lots of tinsel about the place. So make sure you know beforehand so you know what to expect. So you're not walking in there expecting a Christmas grotto and actually there's nothing.
Then moving on to weather. Obviously we've slightly touched on that already, and there is overlap between these, but thinking not just about your venue itself, but the location of that venue and its remoteness versus its accessibility. So again, thinking about the snow and ice making travel tricky. Is it somewhere where roads are likely to have been cleared, used highly, that kind of thing, just for the safety and obviously being able to actually get there? Obviously, yeah, this is kind of the worst case scenario, isn't it? Where just no one can get there, no suppliers can get there, or just falls apart. So yeah, it's trying. You can't mitigate it entirely. It's just not possible. But obviously, yeah, these are things, to consider to try and minimise the risks.
And is there accommodation either on site or locally, so that if your wedding was beautiful sunshine in the morning, but then a snowstorm hit later, is there somewhere for people to stay, or just to be able to plan to stay anyway, because they might not want to be travelling back to wherever they've come from in the dark and potentially bad weather? People are more likely to be able to then stay for the full wedding and have a great time and not have to worry about that. They can think about travelling then in daylight the next day. So what kind of accommodation does your venue have, if any, or is there like local hotels? I mean, they're the normal things you would normally put on an invitation anyway, but guests might just be a bit more inclined to want to stay close by for a winter wedding.
Yeah, and I would also just add on to that guests actually might be inclined to want to stay the night before the wedding too, because of that anxiety and risk of like not being able to get there on the day. Like you want to not really have to travel on the day. Like, that's the thing. So, and particularly like immediate family, like those people are really important. All your guests are important, but you know what I mean. That they may wish to stay before. So then at least you and them have got some peace of mind that the core, like if it does all kind of go chaotic, that the kind of the core of what matters the most for you, like something will still be there.
Yeah. And on a slightly less serious note, where your photos are going to be taken. So you might still be hoping for outdoor photos, getting outside, having confetti outside, things like that. But does your venue have spots inside will make good interior photos that you'll be happy with as the kind of the interior as a background to your photos, if it's pouring down with rain, if it's really snowy, although I mean snowy photos could look absolutely beautiful, but yes, just knowing or planning in advance and discussing with your photographer where those backup interior photos will be taken, so you're kind of all on the same page and all happy.
Because as well, sometimes with the winter venue, sorry, I keep jumping on everything you're saying.
Right.
If you're having like interior shots, when you're picking your venue, are there good spots inside for taking photos? That's the thing. And how is it lit well enough? Because a lot of the sort of dark, moody stuff, it looks great in person, but it's horrible for photographs. So whilst you don't want to pick your entire venue based on that, and you might want that dark, cozy thing, I think just knowing that there's some spots that you can go for some really nice shots. Yeah. I'm done on your point now. Shall I move on to the next thing?
Yeah,
okay, all right, yeah. You can jump on mine now, it's fine. Outfits. So at this time of year, it means you get the great opportunity to not just pick out your sort of dressed separates, whatever it is you're going for, like your base outfit, but you can also start looking at like cover-ups. So obviously because it's a bit more chilly, all that kind of thing. So it might not be something you need the whole day, depending on the heating that I was talking about, all that kind of thing. But there's probably moments where you will want a little bit of an extra cover-up, and you don't want to be grabbing your anorak from the cupboard that is, in my case, the colour of a traffic cone. And I mean, it makes a statement. You could go that way. You do you. But you might like the opportunity to take something a little more kind of bridal. And there's a whole variety of things out there that you can pick from, and styles and thicknesses and sparkliness or not. But yeah, it's something that you should think about getting, and a great opportunity to get a little something extra.
And if you are planning for going outside at all, you might want a backup of like wellies, so you're not sinking into any grassy areas with your beautiful wedding shoes. If the ground is all soft from the rain, and maybe a clear umbrella so you can still get some photos outside, some cool ones embracing the rain or snow. But yeah, it hasn't got big logos emblazoned on it. So either you can hire them or borrow them from someone, might have kind of a more classic. It doesn't even have to be clear, it could be white, or just a plain umbrella really is all you need, rather than a giant Sports Direct one, I think. Maybe not the vibe you're going for your wedding photos.
I'm now picturing that with my traffic cone, like raincoat. Yeah, it's good luck.
It's a vibe.
Yeah. And see, communicate with your guests about these things, because if you are planning, you're hoping for some outdoor elements to your day, and they may get rained off, or if you're planning, as Laura said, to embrace the rain and do some things anyway, and not just that involve you and your partner. If they involve guests, communicate to them that they may want the wellies, they may want some form of umbrella, or warmer clothing, that kind of thing. I mean, obviously you don't need to go into that kind of detail, but the thing is to give them the opportunity to provide themselves with those things, so they're not there shivering or, getting the nice hairdos just like drowned rats. Probably not the look they want in your photographs that, you look back on for years to come. So, just make sure you can communicate that ahead of time in your invitations, wedding website, that kind of thing.
Moving on to our next point, what time does the sun go down? So the time of sunset. So certainly here in
9 a.m.
Certainly here in the UK, as we get into winter, days get really short. We're talking like
3 something.
Yeah, before 4 o'clock. It's getting dark. So you just need to be prepared for that. And that might mean you want to adjust your timings of the day to make the most of the daylight, essentially, especially if you want photos in natural light and daylight. You might choose to have a first look with your partner before the ceremony to make the most of that daylight, rather than having your couple's portraits after the ceremony. Or if you don't want to do that, you might decide on a slightly earlier ceremony time, so that you do have those few hours afterwards to get your photos, to make the most of, if your venue does have outdoor space that you can utilise, using that so you're not in darkness. It's just shifting things around in a way that makes you can be happy with you getting everything you want with the limited daylight hours.
Yep. And this brings us on to our fifth and final consideration, is about decor. And those kind of early dark nights does also provide the opportunity to lean into the coziness, the kind of the sparkle. So you can bring a lot more out in terms of the lighting, and things like doing activity like the sparklers, fireworks, that kind of thing. You have a much bigger window for those kind of things, venue allowing. But yeah, so you're thinking about like the candles, the fairy lights, or if you want to be kind of a bit more modern edge, that like Edison light bulbs and draping those. So there's lots of opportunities to kind of make something of that. But yeah, it's just thinking that through and making the checks with your venues about candles, so there's open flames allowed, all these kind of things. So yeah, bear in mind, having a discussion with your venue, how can you kind of bring the warmth and make those kind of the darkness a positive element and make that kind of exciting and yeah.
So we hope those tips are helpful. Let us know if you've got any other tips in the comments below to share with other couples who might be thinking about a winter wedding. Has anything surprised you? Is there anything that you hadn't thought of but you're now going to speak to your venue about, or think about when choosing your wedding venue? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear all your plans. If you like this video, please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.